Alright, so the next thing we're going to do is put some walls, or actually make a couple of wall types, and then we'll put some walls in. So the first thing I wanted to talk about a little bit is wall types. So if I go to wall architectural, and I go to the pull down, there are several different wall types. Right now we're under curtain wall, but we are just going to go to the basic wall. Right, so here's the basic wall category. And if I pick exterior brick on CMU, and I left click on that, and I just left click out here and draw across, and then I left click on modify to stop that command, and I zoom in, you're going to see that it is a fairly complex wall. So this is the brick, I believe, airspace, looks like thermal insulation. This is the CMU, and then maybe brick, some furring, and then gypsum board. But let's find out. So if I left click on this, go to edit type, and there's a structure of that wall, and if I go to edit, you can see that starting from the exterior sides we have a masonry finish, right? Let's go ahead and make these materials a miscellaneous air layer, so that's a 3-inch air layer, right? So that's the brick, that's the air layer. And then we've got insulation, another 3 inches of insulation. We've got a moisture barrier. And then we've got the masonry concrete, which is right there. And then we have metal furring. And then we have gypsum wallboard. So it's a fairly complex wall. So we're going to create a wall type for our building. Okay. So let's cancel out of that. I'm just going to zoom out a little bit and delete that. Alright, so let's take a look and see what our wall type is going to look like. This is a wall section, and what you have are the wide flange columns, and inside that they're expressed both on the interior and the exterior. You have a metal siding, basically almost a roofing pan, and then some what were light gauge metal studs at the time, and then 2 layers of gypboard. Now what we're going to do is something fairly simple that fits completely inside this wide flange here. We're going to do a metal exterior with a light gauge metal interior, and then 1 layer of gypboard that sort of slides inside this whole thing, so we don't have to stop and start and stop and start. And we could make a more complex one, but we'll look at that a little bit later. Alright, so let's minimize that. So to create a new wall type, because that one obviously is not going to exist in here, you can go to wall architectural, and then pick, I'm just going to go to the pull down, and I'm just going to pick like a generic 4-inch, and I'm going to go to edit type, and I'm going to duplicate, and I'm going to name this one C22 exterior, metal. Okay, click OK. And then we want to go to the structure and go to edit. And right now there's really no structure, it's just a generic structure. And the structure inside these core boundaries is what kind of holds it up. So in this case it would be those metal, light gauge metal studs. So what we want to do is we want to change the material on this from by category. So left click over here on the right hand side. It's going to open up your material browser dialog box. Now I have my materials outside of my project open as well. There's a little library panel tab that you can turn on and off here if you want to get that. We're not going to need it right now, but if you want to turn it on for later. Okay, so I'm going to come up here to the search, and I'm going to type in stud. Alright, and it's going to give me a metal stud layer, and I'm just going to select that and click OK. Alright, and it's going to replace that with a metal stud layer, and I'm going to make it 2.5 inches thick. Alright, let's scroll back over. Could make this a little wider so it's not jumping around. And then I want to add a gypsum board and a metal siding on the outside. I doubt they had vapor barriers or anything in here, so we'll just sort of keep it simple for now. And to do that I need more layers, so I'm going to click on this insert. Right, and it's going to give me another structure layer, but that's okay, we can change that. Just move that one up and come to the pull down, and this will take as a finish 4. Or we could let's do finish 5 since it will be the complete extreme outside. And we'll talk about these little numbers a little later. By category, we want it to be a metal finish, so I'm going to left click on that. And we're going to keep it simple right now. Again, I'm just going to type in metal and select metal. Now, a couple of things I want to update. I want to update what the surface pattern looks like, and I want to update what the cut pattern looks like for this wall. So the surface pattern right now, let's go ahead and left click on pattern. And I actually want to create a new model pattern. So I'm going to select model, and I'm going to click new. And I want a vertical, like 12-inch spacing. So I'm going to change my line angle to 90. And I'm going to change my line spacing to 12 inches. And I forgot to rename it, so see how it says new pattern name? So I'm just going to go back to edit. And I'm going to name it 12 inches parallel vertical. And click OK. Alright, and click OK. And then I'm going to change it from black to gray. Alright, so let's go ahead and click OK there. And you'll see it adds that metal in there, and let's just give it a thickness of 1/2 inch. Alright, and then we need to add our gypsum board here. So again, another layer, so insert. And then we need to move that layer down to the interior side. We'll go ahead and make this finish 5. Left click next to by category again. And up in the search, type gyp. Whoops. And it'll bring up gypsum wallboard. And you can click OK. And we'll change that to 1/2 inch as well. And click OK. Alright, so right now we have a new wall type. Now basically all we have to do is use a line, right? Here's the height, right? It's going to do it by height. Whoops. Its height, we want it to go to the top of the column. Right, so this is top of column. This is a level that exists here, so I'm going to pick top of column. The location line is the wall center line, and it's going to chain up here. So if I do that, I should be able just to pick on the intersections of this and create a wall. Now it's not exactly in the right place, but I just wanted to create a wall so you could see what it looked like. Alright, so if I type in thick line, it turns on the thick lines and then thin line. You can see that metal stud layer with both the 1/2 inch exteriors. Okay, so that's it for creating a wall type. When we come back, then we'll put the new walls in.